Hello friends, welcome to today's class where we will dive into in-depth analysis of money and communication in astrology. At first glance, it might seem simple analyzing the second house for money and communication, but in reality, it's a bit more complex than that. Money. Several key factors play into a person's financial status. The second house is important, the 11th house is important, planets in the 9th, 10th and 11th house are also significant. Raj Yoga and Dhan Yoga are important. Exalted planets can significantly impact finances. Other favorable yogas related to wealth matter as well. The general strength of the chart plays also a role. Lastly, favorable periods and transit need to be considered. As you can see, many factors influence wealth, and today we will explore this through examples. Example first, power of the second house in the chart. We see a very powerful second house. This person is almost a billionaire. Let's break it down. Dhan Yoga is formed between Venus and Mercury in the second house. Jupiter exalted in the 11th house also contributes significantly to wealth. A powerful exchange between Jupiter and the Moon boosts this person's financial potential. This exchange is one of the most potent combination for wealth. Example 2. Power of the 11th house. In this chart, the 11th house is exceptionally strong. First of all, there is a 3 planet placed in the 11th house. Venus and Saturn are in conjunction, forming a Raj Yoga. Venus and Mars conjunction is forming a Raj Yoga. A Dhan Yoga is formed between Jupiter and Venus through their mutual aspect. The placement of these key planets in the 11th house strengthens the chart. Additionally, the Sun is strong and the 9th house represents the father, suggesting that the native's wealth may primarily come from their father or family. In fact, her father is a billionaire. Example 3. Planets in 9th, 10th and 11th houses. In this example, there are 6 planets in the 9th, 10th and 11th houses. Even though there is a Jupiter and Rahu combination in the second house, which traditionally isn't considered good. The wealth is generated through the 10th, 11th houses. With support from the 9th house, it became easier. Powerful 10th and 11th house gives extraordinary power to execute things. This person earned $30 million in 5 years through coaching, though they could not retain most of it due to the influence of Jupiter and Rahu in the second house. Example 4. Raj Yoga. This chart appears weak at first glance, but there is a very powerful Raj Yoga present in the second house of money. Despite emotional instability and family drama, this person is highly creative and manipulative. Much of their wealth comes from their father, who pays them $1 million a year simply to manage their life. Though relationship with father is very problematic, there is also the possibility of inheritance, as the second house governs wealth passed down from family and the 8th house signifies inheritance. Example 5. Dhan Yoga and Raj Yoga. Here we see a Dhan Yoga between Saturn and Moon. There is also a Raj Yoga between the Lord of 4th house and the 5th house, and between the Lord of the 5th house and 7th house. Jupiter, the Lord of the 4th and 7th houses, with its mutual aspect creates a Raj Yoga with the Lord of the 5th house, Saturn. Though the Moon and Dhan Yoga in the 8th house is considered weak, the 8th house is also the house of profit from foreign sources. In this particular case, the 8th house brought him a gold mine business in Africa. Also, please note that the transfer between the Lord of the 6th house and the 8th house contributed to his success and business. However, due to the very weak moon, this person became addicted and started to lose his health. Example 6. Exalted planets in this chart. There is only one exalted planet, Mercury, in the 10th house, forming a Bhadra Yoga, Yoga of greatness. The Mercury-Jupiter combination is not just Mercury-Jupiter combination. This becomes a super combination, as Jupiter is great manager and Mercury is great analyzer and forming a yoga of greatness, and with this combination the result of Mercury becomes multifold. There are also factors which have a good impact, such as Rahu in the 3rd, Sun in its own sign, Mars also in its own sign. Despite some challenges including a debilitated Saturn leading to poor relationship with their children, this person is a multi-billionaire. General strength of the chart. In this chart, there are 2 planets in the 11th house and 2 planets in the 2nd house with a good condition of Jupiter and a good condition of the moon. But irrespective of that, it will be very challenging to get rich. Because first of all, Lagna Lord is in the 12th house, which deprives the person of basic trust, energy and confidence. As a result, the energy generated in the 2nd and 11th house is unable to gain direction and remains only as potential. Secondly, the energy in both the 2nd and 11th house is somewhat mixed. Mars in the 2nd house is the lord of the 8th house, which weakens the power of Saturn. The Sun, being the lord of the 12th house, weakens the power of Venus as well. Though Jupiter is very powerful and this person began to accumulate some money when he became a psychologist. As Jupiter aspect the 10th house, the Moon and Jupiter, the only 2 soft planets in the center, make him a good advisor. The Lagna Lord in the 12th house makes him interested in occult science. Now let's look at another chart to understand the power of a strong ascendant. So if we look at the chart, the ascendant lord is placed in the 8th house along with the lords of the 2nd and 11th houses. The 2nd and 11th house lords are also debilitated. Now if we take a closer look at the 1st house right in the center of the chart, it's incredibly strong. The combination of Mars and the Moon here makes this person very headstrong, stubborn and even a bit of a dictator. Jupiter and Rahu add another layer, making them a skilled manipulator. This person managed to build a huge fortune in life by immigrating to a foreign country, and now they own several businesses. But here is something important to remember. The natal chart shows potential, the possibilities. The real results, however, depends on the timing, specifically the transits and the planetary periods, favorable periods and transits. Let's see this example. Success started during the Mars period. Even in the Rahu period, it continued. But the moment the Saturn's critical transit came, this person lost everything. With the Jupiter started, person slowly started to build back their life. With Jupiter, Venus will start growing very fast, and from the Jupiter-Venus period, they will not look back. In a horoscope, if there are good combinations, but the periods or the main or sub-periods do not support them, the results of the potential in the chart will be very difficult to manifest. Also, for instance, if there is a main period of a good planet, but there is no favorable transit, such a transit will delay or decrease the results. So, to summarize what we have covered today, the 2nd house is important, the 11th house is important, planets situated in 9th, 10th and 11th houses are important, Raj Yoga and Dhan Yoga are important, exalted planets are important, other yogas that can bring money are important. The general strength of the chart also plays a role. Favorable periods and transits are crucial. Now let's move on to the second topic of this class, which is communication. For communication, we will consider the following criteria: 2nd house, 3rd house, Moon's conditions, Mars and Sun's condition, overall strength of the chart, Mercury's strength, exaltations. For communication, 2nd house. So basically the 2nd house is the main house to understand communication. It mainly refers to verbal communication, style of speech, sound and other detail. For example, if somebody wants to be a good singer, their 2nd house should be in good condition. Let's look at some examples. Can you guess whose horoscope this is? This is the horoscope of Beyonce. Now the lord of the 2nd house, Mars, is in the 10th house in Digbala. Though it's debilitated, it shows that the family situation is not easy, but in combination with Rahu in the 10th house, it becomes very, very strong. You will often find that many powerful and famous people have Rahu in the 10th house, Mars in the 10th house or a Mars-Rahu conjunction. Her style of singing also aligns with Mars energy in some way. Also, Mercury, which is the lord of communication, is exalted and creating a lot of Raj Yoga. Let's look at another example of communication. I will show you the horoscope of someone who was considered one of the best speakers the world has seen. Though he had a lot of scandals and notoriety, Publicly, I have never seen a situation where he could be answered logically or where he lost a debate. And surprisingly enough, he could contradict himself and even got a title of Master of Contradiction. Let's look at his chart and see what makes him such a profound speaker. The Lord of the second house, Mercury, is involved in a lot of Raj Yoga. Looking at the second house, we see 5 planets aspecting it, which gives it a lot of power. There is also a transfer between the 3rd and 8th houses between Jupiter and Moon, which gives him even more power. In this example, we can also see the importance of the 3rd house in communication. The 3rd house is about courage and the power to express. He spoke against all religions without exception. He challenged the entire status quo, breaking away from past traditions. He spoke consistently against religion leaders, even those considered godlike, and the political system. He was considered one of the most fearless speakers. This comes from the 3rd house, which gives him the strength to stand his ground and express his righteousness. Moon condition. Let's now look at another chart. Here, the second house lord is in very good condition with 2 planets aspecting the second house, giving strong energy that suggests this person could be a public speaker. However, in reality, it didn't work out that way. The moon's condition here indicates secrecy and a fear of making mistakes, leading to a very careful approach in communication. Note, the primary factor for communication is the second house. However, irrespective of that, the power of expression can come either from the 3rd house or from a strong Sun, Mars and Mercury, which are the significators of all communication. So, the second house and Mercury mostly decide whether a person has the substance to speak or not. Mars, Sun and the 3rd house determine whether they are bold and brave enough to express themselves. So, if the general strength of the ascendant is good, the person is also confident enough to express themselves. You can see the strength of Sun and Moon by their positions. If the Sun is in 1st, 10th house, it is very strong. The Sun in 3rd, 5th, 9th or 11th house is also strong. A debilitated Sun is weak except in the 10th house. The same applies to Mars. Any malefic planet in the 3rd house can give power to communication and also makes one bold, such as Rahu, Saturn, Ketu, Mars and the Sun. Benefic planet in the 3rd house can also give power, but these powers are more sophisticated and skillful. Exalted planet also play a role in communication as they indicate what kind of skills a person has crystallized. Exalted Sun, commanding and authoritative. Exalted Moon, charming and hypnotic. Exalted Mars, authoritative and straightforward. Exalted Mercury, very skillful and tactical. Exalted Jupiter, righteous and teaching like. Exalted Venus, persuasive and well presented. Exalted Saturn, great understanding of mass psychology. Exalted Rahu, manipulative. Exalted Ketu, explosive and straightforward. Conclusion. First, check the second house, and in the second house lord, if they are in a good condition, communication will be strong. Secondly, you can check the 3rd house to understand the style, whether bold or skillful. Additionally, look at the Sun, Mars and the overall chart to understand the strong and weak sides of communication. Mercury plays a crucial role, and if both Mercury and the second house are weak, it can indicate communication issues. Exalted planets can aid magnetism and charisma to one's expression, so pay attention to them. Thank you for listening and see you in the next class.